Hey guys, today we're taking a quick look at the DS web browser. That's right, it's actually possible to browse the internet on an original DS console. While the system shipped with wireless capabilities, it was not until 2007 that the USA would finally see a browser for the handheld, and it would only cost you a mere $30. The DS and DS Lite did not have enough onboard memory to load even basic web pages. So every copy of the DS browser would ship with a memory expansion cartridge. It's similar to the N64 expansion pack in that it increases the system's RAM, but unfortunately, unlike the expansion pack that can at least be used in a few games, this would only work in the DS web browser. There are two versions of the DS browser, one for the DS Lite and one for the original DS. As far as I'm aware, the cartridges are the same, however the RAM expansion on the old DS model was made to be larger so it would fit both systems. You can quickly tell what version you have by looking at the packaging. The DS Lite version was the only one carried in stores, so if you had an older DS model, you'd have to order the browser from the Nintendo web store. You can get these for pretty cheap, but if you're buying used, you may run into this issue. The browser has the ability to be password protected, but don't worry, you can reset it fairly easily. When starting the browser, simply hold L, R, up, X, B, and select before the logo shows up, and boom, you've booted into safe mode. From here, you can go and reset the settings. The first hurdle to using this browser is finding a way to get your DS online. The Nintendo DS only supports Open Wireless and the extremely unsecure WEP. So if you want to test this out, it may be better to just use your phone as a hotspot. The second thing you may notice is, with the web browser being over 11 years old, all the root certificates have expired. So every single time you try to load a new page, you have to dismiss this pop-up. And it's not just once per page, you have to do it for each domain the page accesses. The page is loaded pretty slow before, but this really adds to the wait time. And third, the browser features are extremely limited. Of course you can't play YouTube videos or Flash content, but this browser even has trouble with scripts, formatting, medium-sized images, and can't play most audio or video. But by far the most frustrating thing about this browser is the freezing. Try to load too much data? Boom, total system lockup. That script giving you trouble? Well, you can forget about closing the page. And some modern web pages will straight up refuse to connect to this browser. Now, assuming you're just looking to load very simple web pages, for example, ones that haven't really changed much since 2007, most of them should load just fine. They can have images and fairly extensive text, and a DS should be able to load them pretty well. Apparently Nintendo even tried adding parental controls to this browser via a proxy server. You could block pages by their address or based on the page content, but sadly this service is no longer running. This Opera browser was later updated and released for the DSi. The new browser was made to take advantage of the system's improved hardware, and the update would allow for better compatibility with web standards. So it supported many more websites and all pages would look much better and load significantly faster. With the release of the 3DS, it appears Nintendo has cut all ties with Opera and now uses its own custom web browser. It came pre-installed on all 3DS systems, so you could browse the web right out of the gate. And this time it will support even more web standards, so most mobile sites will load just fine. With the DS browser being so cheap now, it could still make a good display item or conversation piece, but sadly it's not really useful for much else, since the few mobile sites that can load still have trouble displaying properly. But hey, if you're into homebrew, this RAM expansion can be used with Quake, DS Linux, and even some emulators, so it's not completely useless. And speaking of homebrew, there were a few homebrew web browsers that didn't need a RAM expansion to run. I remember using DS Organize a lot back in the day, but sadly I wasn't able to get any of those to load even older web pages now. But overall, even with its flaws, I still think this is a really interesting item. How often do you get to own a hard copy of a web browser? And the RAM expansion looks way cooler than the standard dust cover. Also, I just love the design of the cover art and manual. It really takes you back to the mid-2000s. Well, that's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to pick up your own DS browser, I've seen quite a few floating around eBay. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.